Hello, I'm Susan Woods, your self-appointed Black Lives Matter investigator. Thank you for your time. I'm continuing with the series, Why Black Lives Matter Money is Hard to Follow. Reason 3, No Accountability, Factor 2 of 10, which deals with the chapters. 5 reasons Black Lives Matter money is hard to follow. Number 1, no structure. 2, no transparency. 3, no accountability. 4, no consequences. 5, no next steps. We are focusing in on number 3, no accountability. Under no accountability, there are 10 factors. The first factor is decentralized. Number 2, chapters. Number 3, IRS reports. Number 4, 501c3 status. Number 5, news networks. 6, corporations. 7, celebrities. 8, fiscal sponsors. 9, founders. And 10, protesters. So each one of these factors contribute to the no accountability reason for us not being able to follow Black Lives Matter money. I'm focusing in on the second factor, which is chapters in this video. On the website, the blacklivesmatter.com website last year, around June is when I started these investigations. There was a graphic on the website that showed the chapters at that time. And this is the graphic or the image that the website had. Now, if you go to blacklivesmatter.com today, this image is not there. As a matter of fact, a reference to the chapters is not even there either, because the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation dissolved the chapters and started with a whole new type of entity or division or concept or whatever you want to call it. But the chapters no longer exist. So you wouldn't see this image on the website today. But this is how the chapters were listed last year, the locations of the chapters across the United States. As I mentioned, last year in June, I started doing investigations of all of the chapters, and I used the process of going to each chapter's website, if they had a website, or their Facebook page, or whatever social media platform they used to share information about what they offered. And I created a video for each and every one of the chapters that I investigated and uploaded the video on my YouTube channel under the BLM Investigations playlist. And you can go there and see my investigative results for each chapter. I also created PowerPoint slides that showed the results of the investigations in an easy to read, hopefully easy to read format. So this is an example of the results that I shared regarding the Black Lives Matter chapters. So I have the first column that lists the topics that I investigated. Then across the different columns, I have the names of the chapters or the locations of the chapters that I investigated. And within the table, you see the results. So for example, in the first column, Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, which is located in California, I have leadership names. Ian means no. I couldn't find any information about that. The mailing address, no. Phone number, no. Email or social media, yes. Of course, they have the website, blacklivesmatter.com. Are they listed on Charity Navigator? No. Were they listed on GuideStar? No. Were they registered with the California Secretary of State's office? No. Did it have a 501c3 status? No. Are donations accepted? Yes. The donations processor, Act Blue. Where is the money? Don't know. So you can see the results of all of the chapters on this screen that I investigated, the investigative results for each of the chapters that I investigated. Here are the results for the Black Lives Matter chapters. And again, these chapters coincide with the chapters that were listed on the blacklivesmatter.com website last June 2020. This is a second page or a second screen for chapters. This time it's Long Beach, California, Memphis, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, New York City, New York, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, South Bend, Indiana, and Toronto, Canada. Same thing here. Um, I'm just showing you the results of the investigations for each one of the chapters. Let me go back to the prior screen. I don't think I listed the other ones. Did I? I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't think I listed these, did I? Let me go back. Thank you for your patience. But I wanted to actually say the names of the locations. So I had the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation in California, Boston, Massachusetts, Chicago, Illinois, Washington, D.C., Denver, Colorado, Detroit, Michigan, Los Angeles, California, and Lansing, Michigan. The reason I wanted to say those names out loud or the locations out loud was because I want you to now think if you live in any of these areas and there's a Black Lives Matter chapter in these areas, what are they doing? What are those chapters doing in your communities? You can see that each and every one of them on this page, each one of them accepts donations, right? So where is the money going? How are the donations benefiting your community? So thank you for allowing me to go back because I wanted to emphasize that. And again, same question. When you look at the locations on this screen, what are they doing in your communities? Most of them, well, yeah, most of them are taking donations or accepting donations. So what are they doing with the money? What are they doing with the money? And I want to also point out I make a special mention about New York City, New York. The leader there is Hawk Newsom, and their status was revoked. The status was revoked and reinstated, but they are still accepting donations. Why the status was revoked? So if you accept donations while your status is revoked, that's illegal. That's fraud. But yet I see Hawk Newsom in the news all the time talking about his leadership of the Black Lives Matter former chapter. I'm trying to think of a name, former chapter in New York. Well, you need to check your own status. He's calling for an investigation into the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, but what about your own chapter? The status was revoked and then reinstated. But while your status was revoked, you still accepted donations. What's going on with that? And here are some other chapters that I investigated that were former chapters. Vancouver, California, Canada, Waterloo, Canada, and Michigan. The whole state of Michigan created a Black Lives Matter chapter. These were the chapters that were listed on the blacklivesmatter.com website before the leadership team or the founders decided to dissolve the chapters and create a whole nother concept. Okay. Now, because the chapters were operating in a decentralized format, as I mentioned before in the other video, there was absolutely no support from the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, which most people assume would be like the headquarters because it was the first chapter created by the three founders, Patrice Concoulers, Alicia Garza, and Opa Tomate. So the chapters that applied to become the chapter leaders, rather, that applied to create chapters by completing a basic short questionnaire to request permission to be called a chapter, evidently assumed that that meant they would get support, which they did not get. So in November of 2020, 10 chapters called the BLM 10 Plus sent an open letter or shared an open letter through social media to complain about the lack of transparency from the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. So here it says, tell no lies. The BLM 10, the original 10 signatories, and the other chapters and organizers that stand with us remain steadfast in our open calls for accountability from the BLM Global Network Foundation and Patrice Coolers. With no other viable options available, on November the 30th, 2020, the BLM 10 released a public statement calling for accountability from the network and the affiliated foundation. Following the release of this statement, chapter names were promptly removed from the BLM Global Network website. Let me read that again. Following the release of this statement, chapter names were promptly removed from the BLM GN website, Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation's website. So that was in retaliation for them speaking up about the lack of transparency and accountability. During the time in which the names were removed, Patrice Coolers assigned herself to be the executive director of the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, which is contrary from what she always said, in which she stated she would never, or they would never have a leadership structure or a hierarchy. But all of a sudden, she decided to give herself a title, the executive director. So when she became executive director and started receiving the backlash from the chapters, then all of a sudden the names were removed from the website. Going back to reading this, as a direct result of the release of our public statement, the demands for accountability grew. Families of those who were lost to police violence spoke out and also demanded accountability, including Michael Brown Sr., Samaria Rice, and Lisa Thompson. So this is the homepage for the Black Lives Matter 10 Plus, when they explain their issue with the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, what they decided to do in response to their issue, the open letter, and then the retaliation that they endured from Patrice Coolers, who was leading Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation at the time, decided to just remove them, remove the references to the chapters completely from the site, and create another concept, which I would talk about in another video. Next, we're going to talk about the third factor under reason number 3, no accountability, and that is IRS reports. I want to share with you how to look for IRS reports and how they lead to no accountability. How IRS reports represent one of the 10 factors that support or contribute to reason number 3, no accountability. Again, this is Susan Woods. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.